Back in the 1930s, President Roosevelt in America began what were called the Fireside chats, and he would talk to the nation through the Depression. In World War II, Churchill did it very often in this country. Now, in the midst of this political crisis, Mrs. May decided to have a fireside chat with the nation from the comfortable sofa in Chequers, and this is what she said.
Over the last few days, people have been asking me what on earth's happening with Brexit.
Quite.
And I can understand that, because after all, it's nearly 3 years since people voted
that's right,
in the
Theresa.
referendum for the UK to leave the European Union. Well, where we're at is that the government negotiated a deal with the EU,
Treaty.
and my preference was for that deal
Treaty.
to be passed by Parliament, and we could leave with the EU on that basis. But Parliament's now rejected that deal three
Treaty.
times, and right now, as things stand, I can't see them accepting it. But at the same time, Parliament has also said that they don't want us to leave without a deal, with no deal. Indeed, this very week, Parliament's been legislating to block no deal. So the choice that lies ahead of us is either leaving the European Union with a deal or not leaving at all.
You what? I'm sorry. Can we hear that last sentence again, please?
The choice that lies ahead of us is either leaving the European Union with a deal or not leaving at all.
Goodness me. So she's saying either accept my treaty, and by the way, I'm negotiating with Labour. We may come to an agreement, and what we're going to have, we've already agreed dynamic alignment on workers' protections. That means all employment law to be decided in Brussels, alignment on standards for goods, and discussions ongoing about a customs union or the confirmatory vote. So actually what she's doing with Mr. Corbyn's team isn't just getting us set up to remain permanently part of the customs union, but actually to be pretty much fully part of the single market as well. It wouldn't resemble Brexit in any way at all. But she's now saying, unless there's agreement on this, there'll be no Brexit at all. Well, how does no Brexit at all happen? Well, because if we extend, you see, an extension says we're leaving the European Union at a later date. She's suggesting no Brexit at all. Is she saying that she actually could revoke Article 50? What would the circumstances be? What would so let's think about this. Tonight, there are continuing technical meetings going on between the government and the Labour Party. Tomorrow, the Prime Minister flies off to meet the boss. The boss, of course, being in Berlin, Angela Merkel, because they really run the show. Later on that evening, she'll go and meet Macron. And then on Wednesday night, at 5 p.m. UK time, the summit will begin in Brussels. What if the terms of extension were so impossible politically to swallow that she was faced with a choice? No deal? Well, we could have left with no deal on the 29th of March. But now, of course, Parliament has put in law that we can't leave with no deal. I mean, is she actually now threatening her own party, back my treaty, or I could revoke Article 50? Is she capable of doing that? I wonder. Well, I didn't think she was capable of breaking every single red line. But she has, hasn't she? One by one by one, they've all disappeared. She's barely kept a single promise since she became Prime Minister. Is she capable? Could she revoke Article 50? And if you think she's actually, it's possible she could do anything, call 0345 6060 973. Or maybe you think, no, politically it's impossible. There wouldn't be a Conservative Party. Text to 84850. Or maybe like me, as I've been saying here since last August, you think actually, however bad, however long, extension is now the only possible way forward, in which case tweet using the hashtag Farage and LBC at LBC, and of course Facebookers, you can comment too. Did she mean it? Let's listen to it one more time.
The choice that lies ahead of us is either leaving the European Union with a deal or not leaving at all.
So not extension, but you either leave it with her treaty that she's now cooking up and making worse with Labour from a Brexiteer's point of view, or there's no Brexit at all. I don't know. I find it difficult to believe she could even contemplate it. But then I found all the other surrenders quite difficult to believe, because she stands up, doesn't she, with such sincerity, saying what she will do, and then actually the opposite happens. John is a new caller from Milton Keynes. Good evening, John.
Hello, Nigel. Yes. I am a little bit very annoyed
Yeah.
I'm annoyed a bit with you
Oh, yeah.
because you just sort of, all these people I hear every night ringing in,
Yeah.
and they're all complaining, and nobody wants to do anything about it. But that isn't what I'm ringing up about.
Well, John, hang on.
Yes.
They've had no chance to do it to do anything about it because it's 3 years since the referendum, and in the general election, they voted for parties promising to honour Brexit. So the frustration, John, it isn't that people don't want to do anything; they've just not had the means to.
Now, I'm not only annoyed with that, I'm annoyed with the Queen as well.
Right.
I'm annoyed with everybody. Now, let me make my point now. Let me make my point.
Okay, do.
Theresa May hasn't done one single thing right in any job she has ever had.
True.
Every decision she's made is the wrong one, and she seemed to have some kind of blatant, I don't know. I am convinced that she is suffering from a severe mental disorder.
Well, that's pretty strong stuff,
I'm
John.
going to make a demand. The Queen has never had a demand in her life. But I'm telling you now, people in this country are so angry. If the Queen wants to avoid a massive civil insurrection in this country, she must haul Theresa May in and sack her for mental deficiency.